So my name is Fiso Mbuto, and today I'll be taking you through some of the highlights from the Richemont report that we released last week. So just on the summary side of things, so we have a sell recommendation on Richemont with an intrinsic value of 2,228 Rand and a downside of about 14%. So since Richemont's run post LVMH's results on Friday, that downside has opened up a little bit to about 20%. And in terms of our thinking around the call, so our main concern is demand around the three main regions, which is the Americas, which is primarily the US, but Europe, and then Asia Pacific, which is primarily driven by China. So just to touch a little bit on those regions, so what we're seeing is the American consumers showing signs of more conservative spending and pressure on discretionary spending as well. So that tonality is also exacerbated by Richemont's commentary around how they're seeing the American consumers spending a lot less abroad on Richemont products, which has had an effect on Europe's performance as well. And then just on the European side, so what we're seeing there is, again, because what we're seeing there is that the European domestic demand has been seeing a bit of a decline, but it hasn't been able to fill the void left by US consumers pulling back a little bit on offshore spending, which again triggers our concern around demand within the region itself. And then finally, just on China and Asia Pacific, so there we're seeing some demand momentum being lost post the reopening, as well as some confirmations in that demand being lost from Richemont's most recent results release in terms of tonality around how domestic travel has a good growth impact on Richemont's performance in the region. And that's at about 91% of pre-COVID levels now. So the runway within that region is low, and when you combine that with the consumer confidence as well as deflation, you start to see the big picture being painted here that there is a concern around demand. When you put all those three things together, it sort of skews the rest of the downside for us, and which is why we ended up with the sell recommendation on Richemont. Just in terms of what would change our minds, that would just be indications of improving regional performance in Europe, Asia Pacific, and the Americas.